There's nothing like a good doomsday prediction to bolster ratings or sell more newspapers. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 false doomsday predictions. Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're looking at some of the most outrageous prophecies that turned out to be hoaxes, lies, or just plain misinterpretations. Number 10. The Prophet Hen of Leeds. Imagine how surprised you'd be if your hens suddenly started laying eggs with messages on them. We're not talking like cute Charlotte's Web type messages here either. We're talking eggs with the ominous phrase, "Christ is coming" on them.
Look what Jesus did! Look what Jesus did!
Well, that's exactly what happened in the English town of Leeds in the early 1800s. Being reasonable townsfolk, they assumed this message obviously meant Judgment Day was near. And just their luck, Sarah Connor wouldn't be born for another 100 years. But in the end, it turned out that Mary Bateman, dubbed the Yorkshire Witch, was handwriting these messages with acid and putting them back into a hen.
And that is a crazy lady.
Number 9. Wind up in 56 years. In 1835, during a casual conversation with God, Mormonism founder Joseph Smith learned that Jesus would return within the next 56 years.
Joseph Smith was called a prophet, dum 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 dum.
At which point the end times would begin. Seeing as this meant more war and natural disasters like earthquakes, hurricanes, and tornadoes, people were worried. Luckily for all of us today, the world didn't end in 1891, at least not that we know of. Over the years, there's been a lot of debate as to whether this statement of Smith's should count as an actual prophecy or not. But don't feel bad for Joseph Smith. He went on to have many, many more prophecies.
Martin, how do you know he isn't just making stuff up and pretending he's translating off golden plates?
Lucy Harris, smart, 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 smart.
Number 8. Advent, also known as the Great Disappointment. After extensively studying the Old Testament, Baptist minister William Miller determined that Christ would return to Earth sometime between March of 1843 and March of 1844. William Miller, it turns out, was a very persuasive man and managed to convince over 50,000 people to believe him. Many of his followers sold their possessions in preparation for the upcoming end of the world. Hopefully these Millerites kept their receipts, because the world did not end between those dates. Miller later claimed he'd made a simple math error and recalculated the date to be in April and then in October of 1844. When the world kept on trucking, Miller acknowledged his disappointment and resigned himself to seclusion, but was still convinced that Jesus' return was just around the corner.
God, I've looked forward to this moment more than the second coming of Jesus.
Number 7. The Blood Moon Prophecy. Quote, "The sun will turn into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes." Or so says the book of Joel in the Bible. A blood moon results during a total lunar eclipse and is when light interacts with the atmosphere in such a way that the moon can sometimes appear red or orange. Christian ministers John Hagee and Mark Biltz took the previous passage to mean that the world would end after 4 straight blood moons would coincide on several Jewish holidays in 2014 and 2015.
That something on a grand and global scale is about to happen.
In actuality, a tetrad, which is a series of 4 consecutive blood moons, is not that uncommon. 62 tetrads have occurred since the 1st century AD, according to the website EarthSky.
Don't go around tonight, well, it's bound to take your life. Yeah, the bad moon on the ride.
Number 6. Joanna Southcott. At around 42 years old, Joanna Southcott started to hear voices. Usually not a good sign.
Who's hearing voices?
These voices told her of upcoming droughts, crop failures, and famines. Claiming she was the woman of the apocalypse, she amassed over 100,000 believers.
I feel the power of hell in this room.
She also began selling seals of the Lord, pieces of paper which guaranteed Southcottians a place among those selected for eternal life. At 64 years old, proclaiming herself to be a virgin, Southcott revealed she would be giving birth to the next Messiah, which is typically a sign of end days to come. But she died before her prophecy could come true. Number 5. Halley's Comet. passing the Earth every 75 or 76 years. Halley's Comet is believed to have been recorded by astronomers since Babylonian times.
I just saw Halley's Comet.
In 1881, spectroscopic analysis revealed that the tails of comets are made up of deadly cyanogen gas. Fast forward to 1910, when people realized that the comet was going to pass closer than usual, and that the Earth would travel through its tail. When newspapers started printing inflammatory headlines, people got really worried. One unsubstantiated story even claims that some Oklahomans tried to sacrifice a virgin in order to stave off Earth's impending doom.
Why are you doing this to me?
The comet did pass by, and we did pass through its tail, but there was no apparent effect. Number 4. Planetary Alignment.
The planets will align ever so nice.
There are several doomsday prophecies relating to planetary alignments, which are periods of time when all the planets are roughly in a line. Mathematician Johannes Stoeffler predicted that a great flood would cover the planet on February 20th, 1524, reportedly coinciding with the alignment of the planets. In 1974, astrophysicist John Gribben and astronomer Stephen Plageman believed the upcoming aligning of planets in 1982 would create massive stress on the planet's tectonic plates and cause severe earthquakes. Richard W. Noone, an author with a suspicious name, predicted that the world would be covered in ice because of the 2000 alignment, and all three of these predictions would end up coming true. No, wait, none of them did.
Now we rebuild.
Number 3. Heaven's Gate. In the 1990s, former music teacher Marshall Applewhite convinced his cult followers that a UFO was hidden behind the tail of the Hale-Bopp comet.
We'd like the White House to pay a little more attention to UFOs.
Are we paying any attention at all right now?
No.
Thank God.
Applewhite and his cult believed that the Earth was about to be recycled, and the only way to survive was to hitch a ride on that UFO. In order to do so, the group had to be released from their bodies so that their spirits could rise up. This led to one of the most chilling and unsettling mass suicides in recent memory, as ultimately 39 of the members killed themselves while wearing identical clothing. Number 2. Y2K, also known as the Year 2000 problem. Also known as the Millennium Bug, this idea began to crop up as we got closer and closer to the year 2000. In order to save space, computers had been using 2 digits instead of 4 to signify years.
I sit in a cubicle, and I update bank software for the 2000 switch.
This meant that there was no differentiation between the year 1900 and the year 2000. Some people began to worry that this could cause problems for many of our computer systems when the new year arrived. Soon, these hypothetical problems blossomed into full-fledged doomsday predictions. People worried that airplane control systems would shut down mid-flight, or nuclear missile launch codes would somehow be deployed. Of course, nothing happened, except for a few computers displaying the incorrect date. Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions. Number 1. The Mayan Apocalypse, also known as the 2012 phenomenon. Unlike Abrahamic religions, the Mayans believed the world worked in cycles. These cycles consisted of the small stuff we're used to today, like hours, days, and weeks, but it also consisted of great cycles. The end of one such cycle or count was set to occur on December 21st, 2012. Many people misinterpreted this to mean that the end of the world was going to occur on that date. They thought Earth might collide with a hidden planet called Nibiru, or there would be tidal catastrophes related to planetary alignments. None of this happened, since the calendar simply indicated that a new cycle was starting.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.